it was like I was going against everything that everybody told me to do. It's easy to go and get a job that they're going to take care of you for the next 30 to 40 years, and then you can get something from them after that. And to step out and be like, no, maybe it's something different. It's hard. It's very, very hard.
There is only one you, and that is your superpower. You can't F that up. However, you can get stuck. That's why I created this space called UnStuck Yourself with Crystal Simmons. UnStuck Yourself is about figuring out what has you feeling frustrated, isolated, or depleted of energy so that you're able to unstuck yourself on your journey through life when you don't know how to move forward. Unstuck yourself in your career that no longer excites and challenges you. Unstuck yourself with negative thoughts that seem to be doing cartwheels in your head consistently. I don't have the answers. You do. You always have. I'm providing the time, space, and grace for you to reconnect to that knowing. I'm Crystal Simmons, coach, speaker, and facilitator, and I'm grateful you made it here. Let's begin to unstuck yourself. Hey peeps, it's Crystal, the Unstuck Yourself coach. Two women who have said, I'm done more times than they can count, and they are ready to make a change. Today is a special day of interview episode with the dope-tastical Lachyi Bland. Lachyi is an experienced virtual assistant. She helps growing businesses and business owners operate more efficiently and effectively. She uses the skills and knowledge that she's gained in her 10-plus year career in the healthcare field, working in supervisor administration roles, working and running the office of an INC 500 company, which she'll explain a little bit later in the episode. But she applies all that knowledge to help organize and educate her clients and other up-and-coming VAs. She specializes in giving business owners time to focus on doing what they love doing, being a present part of their business. Please connect with Lachyi anywhere on social media at Brand New Consultants. That is BrandNewConsultants. Or you can learn more on her website at www.brandnewconsultants.com. I was so excited to have this conversation with Lachyi because I have been curious about potentially working with a VA, because as my business grows, I understand the importance of having help. What do we talk about here on Unstuck Yourself? Ask for help. And it came. So please enjoy this conversation. And she burst a myth of mine where VAs are only for business owners. P.S. They're not. Enjoy! The purpose of the Unstuck Yourself with Crystal Simmons podcast is not only to highlight my own personal stuck moments and experiences, but to also create a space and a community for others to share their stories, voices, and experiences as well. Lachyi, before we jump into everything that you're creating and building, please tell the peeps about little Lachyi that paved the way for the current Lachyi that sits before me today.
So little Lachyi is just a girl that grew up in the relative South, as those say. They kind of had a hard background, but God really helped her achieve the things and to be where she is today. That's little Lachyi in a sense. She is driven, purpose-filled, and just her.
And little Lachyi, is she an only child?
So no, little Lachyi is not an only child. She's the oldest child. I'm the oldest child for both her parents and the first granddaughter. So You know how that responsibility comes. But little Lachyi has 3 sisters and 2 brothers. I would say an honorary little brother because my youngest cousin is like my little brother as well.
Aww.
So I kind of got the older child, younger child, because my grandparents kind of raised me. So I got both of those benefits. So that is little Lachyi's family responsibility.
And for the people who have never met you before, what is the adult Lachyi doing now?
I've been a virtual assistant now full-time for going on 2 years, but I have in the arena of healthcare for over 10 years. So that's kind of how I got started. So my passion is to help businesses and business owners operate more efficiently and effectively in their business, give them time to do what they love, to be a present part of their business, and then just educating on how you can be better, how you can run your business better, and be an overall professional better. And my ultimate goal is just to help and educate people from the knowledge that I've gained, the experiences, the good, the bad, and the ugly, so people don't have to do it themselves.
So when you grew up, what was your path for school? What did that look like?
Actually, I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to be a doctor. I have a BS in biology. I graduated from Virginia Union University, and that was my goal. I wanted to be a veterinarian, but then you had to deal with reptiles and snakes, and I was like, absolutely not. We're not doing that. And so my aunt, one of my great aunts, tells the story all the time when we're around, and she would say, even from a kid, I will always ask her to watch like Untold Stories of the ER and watch doctor stories. And she would literally be like, it was the most boring thing in the world, but you sat there and you watched it. And so that was my path. I was going to be a pediatrician. That's what I wanted to do. I finished all 4 years. And at the end of it, I was just really, really burnt out. I was just so burnt out because I had entered into a program. It was a really good program. It's called the RISE program that helped minorities into the science field. And so I started this program and we did crazy credits. Like I was taking 22 credits at one time, and that's a lot. And so I got burnt out my senior year. And one of the things I did learn when I was interning at a doctor's office, she was a pediatrician, and she was like, a lot of doctors go out of business because they don't know the back end. They don't know how to build. They don't know how to do these things. And so I said, okay, what we're not going to do is go in there and get all our money taken. We ain't going to do that.
Yes.
And so I then went into the path of being behind the scenes, so medical records and scheduling and all the admin things for the office. I wanted to know everything. And that's when I really found that I love being there. I love helping on the other side. I still got to see the medical field. I still got to interact with doctors and nurses, but that's when God kind of led me. And my last corporate job, I worked for Inc. 500 company, and they were going into doctors' offices and kind of transform them to concierge medicine. And that's where I found my true passion of being admin. I loved everything about it. I was scheduling our associates to go to different parts of the country. I was helping set up, events in like LA, New York, Texas, and these places that they were traveling. And so once God kind of started to transition me out of that position and we separated, I really found that's what I love to do. So my basis was being a doctor. I learned a lot. It helps me now be structured, but it was just that little winding road to get me to where I'm at now.
I am so excited to ask so many questions because I did not know this. For the people who are listening, Lachyi and I met at an event, 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, about 2 weeks ago now.
Yeah. And just the way she spoke about her business, I was like, ooh, I have so many questions because she mentioned the Inc. 500 company. I was like, I don't even know what that is. So for the people who don't know what that is, answer that question. Then I got many more questions to follow up.
Yes. So Inc. 500, most people may know Inc. 5000. So it's a prestigious award awarded to businesses that have grown financially and just in overall different categories within a couple of years. And to get Inc. 500, that means you made the top 500 out of the 5,000 list. So that is a ultimate reward because they do a lot of screening to get there. They go through your financials. They go through everything of your business. And so for a company in the industry that they were in to make that was amazing. And they made it within 5 years. And so that talks about the culture of the business. It talks about the resources of the business. It talks about the overall, how the business is ran, the CEO, just the components and the people in the business. So that was a big prestigious award that any business can get. And so once I was a part of that, it's so much you can get from it. Brand and marketing, you connect with different companies and CEOs, but then they also have like awards, you go and connect and all of that. So it was a really good, I don't want to say honor, but it's an honor to be a part of that because it really shows how diligent you are in your business, what you're building, how others believe in your business, and what you're doing in it.
Yeah. And how does a company get recognized as an Inc. 500 company?
I wasn't actually in part of like being a part of that part.
Gotcha.
From what I understand, you have to apply and you have to give them a lot of things. Like you have to show you have to be very transparent about income, like what you're doing, your revenue for your business. It's a very long process. It takes, I believe when they told us about it, it takes a couple of months. And you can either apply for it. I'm thinking most of the time, most people apply for it, or they can reach out to you just to see what you're doing in your industry to kind of of get you to like, oh, let's see how you're growing and what you're growing. And sometimes it's very visible because it is a couple. I know one lady in our area, Sassy Jones. I don't know if you know about her. She made the Inc. 5000 list.
Oh, nice.
And it was just growth. But yeah, she's one of those in the area that made the list. And so it's really about growth. They see your growth and how you've done over the years. So that's what I know, but it may be more to it.
So people who are listening, y'all know, y'all are smart. You use your resources and research it. Now, what age were you when that woman told you about the back end side of doctors not being successful and having their own business because they don't know the back end?
I was graduating college, so I had to be around like 21, 22.
Okay.
When she told me that, so that's kind of where it was like, oh, so we may need some more information about this before we dive head first into it.
I am so happy 21, 22-year-old Lachyi actually grabbed that gem because that is major, not even for you to unlock something that you love, but to share that with other people because we're so focused on, let me get this job, let me make this money. Yeah. Let me get to whatever the end goal is, having my own practice, having my own business. And then people are like, wait, don't forget back here. It's like, I'll worry about that later. Let me buy this product. Let me take this class. It is so good that you picked up on it and it piqued your interest for you to actually hold on to that. What did it feel like when she told you?
The analogy I feel like is not shattered, but it popped a bubble. Because you see that like people tell you, oh, go do this. And this is the lifestyle and this is what you want to do. But they don't tell you the part behind the scenes that helps you keep that. It's the sustainability. Like if you don't know these things, then it's like anybody can come in and tell you, I'll do this for you. And you're like, okay, I'll go with it. And it just opens your eyes to how much people don't tell you stuff, how much they don't prepare you for things. Yeah. And to get that was like, oh man, I didn't think about that. Because really, like going into medical, they just teach you how to be a doctor. They don't teach you nothing else. They don't teach you how to get patients. They don't teach you how to market yourself. They don't teach you these things. And a lot of times when people are advertising these professions, and granted, they're great professions, they don't tell you about the other work that comes with it.
Yes. And I always say you don't know what you don't know. And Lachyi, that was a beautiful analogy and vision because I know from me and so many of our listeners, we are the quote unquote good ones where we go to school. We do what we're supposed to do. We get to that job. Cool. We promote. Yes. And you're like, yo, why does this shit suck? This is trash. I did everything right, but we didn't know what we didn't know where, oh, you don't have to keep going down this path just because you said you wanted to. So for you to say, I want to be a pediatrician and be like, oh, look at that. I'm tired. I'm burnt out. I don't like this, but I see something else that I enjoy and I'm still helping to be able to reframe, to refocus is a true gift, but you knew yourself.
Yeah. And that was a hard step because like you said, I was that you're going to go to school, you're going to do this, like we believe in you, this is your path that we think that you should have. And at that moment, me stepping away from it was so hard because then I had to fight with myself. Like I was thinking I was stepping away from my dreams, but it was like, you're kind of stepping away from somebody else's dream for you. And it was hard. Like up until this point, it was so hard because it was like I was going against everything that everybody told me to do. It's easy to go and get a job that they're going to take care of you for the next 30 to 40 years. And then you can get something from them after that. And to step out and be like, no, maybe it's something different. It's hard. It's very, very hard. And it don't come with support sometimes. It does not, but it's worth it at the end because you can do what you love and you don't, all that stuff that they said, all the trials and tribulations, it just kind of blows over eventually.
Yes.
Because then you get to a place where you're happy to do what you're doing.
Yeah. And change is not easy. Like,
no.
But those who make the change do recognize the value in change. So when we say, yeah, I had to do something different. It's something deep inside of you. Do you know what, and I know you mentioned it before, but I wonder if you can share a little bit of what was that drive in you to say, no.
I wanted to be happy. And I really wanted to do something that made me happy. That was the drive for me. It was one, I was very, I seek, like, I like knowing things. I do. Like, if you give me a challenge, I'm like, I got to figure it out. I don't care how. That was the biggest thing for me to say, okay, if this is happening to a lot of people in this industry, what can I do to prevent it? So that was the first thing. And then the second one was like, okay, I like what I'm doing, so I want to know more. I want to know more about this. And so those are the biggest things to make me make that change. And then as I kept going, I kept like, oh, okay, I'm starting to see the puzzles pieces come together. I'm starting to see things fall into place. Like, I'm happy, and I recognize what made me happy during that journey. Like, I'm happy when I'm doing this. I'm not happy when I'm doing that. So let's try to find something that does more of this.
Yes.
So I'm happy all the time.
Yes.
And those were the bigger things, like just finding what made me happy. And even now, doing what I'm doing, I still every day, what makes you happy, Lachyi? This doesn't make you happy, cut it out. Don't do it.
Yeah.
From now, not knowing that's what it was, what I was doing now, that's what my goal is now. What makes me happy? What can I wake up and say I'm happy to do every day?
That's so good. And I always share Crystal's AAAs of awareness, and you have it, of, oh, what makes me happy? And then you go do something. Abilities. What are you able to do? I can do this. I could do that. And then the third A is action. Not doing something is an action.
Yes.
You have made the decision. That is something you're able to do. Say, no, I want to do that. So I want people to really feel this and hear Lachyi's words of, it really is that simple.
It is.
You are not doing a algebra like formula. It's like, do I like this? I don't. Because you like researching, you like learning about stuff. So if it has that factor, it's easy for Lachyi to say, oh, yes, I can actually Google this. I can actually do some research. I can connect with other people who may know a little bit more because I like looking for information. So she knows she could do that. And I want listeners to really hone in on something so simple that you enjoy and use that as your marker. It really is that simple. I'm curious about the company you spoke about.
So the company I spoke about, their name is Paragon Private Health. They're no longer in existence. They actually were bought out a couple of years ago.
Okay.
And like I said, they were a company that helped doctors' offices transform into a concierge medicine practice. So most people, when I talk about concierge medicine, really don't know what that means. But if you ever heard of, it was a show on TV, I think it was like Hank. It was a doctor who used to go to celebrities' houses. So back in the days, it used to be doctors that would go to people's houses and treat them. That's kind of how concierge is, but in a different setting. The patients will like have a membership to see their doctor. So they will have certain hours they can talk to the doctor outside of the office. It was just more exclusive.
Gotcha.
So what we would do is we would go into the doctor's office, help them change into this model, and then manage everything for them.
Oh, so what would that look like? And you going into the office, you're talking, like, would it be a couple of doctors?
So it just depends. We would have reps that would go and talk to the doctor. So it was a process. Like, you had to actually want the doctors to do it. Then when they agreed to do it, get their staff on board. And we would go in and we would sign up the patients for the membership. We will handle everything for them. Some doctors, it was single doctors. Some doctors, it was a practice. Each doctor could elect in the practice if they wanted to do it, if they didn't want to do it. It wasn't a forceful thing. It was some doctors said, hey, I want more time. And these doctors are working crazy hours. So it was just different factors for them as to why they wanted to do it. And our jobs was to really support them in that decision. And my job specifically was to support the office staff, as well as our staff, as well as anything else that was going on to obtain contracts, sustain contracts, help membership. So I had a lot of different hats when I was there.
How old were you when you were working this job?
So I was around mid-20s, so about 25.
Okay.
About 25, 26 when I was there, which was a big turning point for me because I was like, I was still figuring out what I wanted to do. And this was literally a God ordained thing for me to be in. Even how I got the job was God ordained. So I knew it was something in a place I was supposed to be, and it was, because it really sparked me doing what I'm doing now. And so I'm thankful for the time that I was there and actually being there, because I used those skills and that knowledge, because I was the only African American person there. Everybody else was Caucasian or Indian. I was happy to see, that culture, because we don't get to see that a lot. And it was smaller companies. So I was really close to the CEO, the high-up managers. We would have literally monthly meetings and quarterly meetings, and he would come into town. And I had, that space that's how I came to want to give it out to others in my business.
So you mentioned that you having this connection with a small team, but not only just that, the higher ups. So this individual, you can actually speak to them. There isn't this hierarchy of don't look at them, don't talk to them. It feels as though it's more inviting and more encouraged, maybe, to be more inquisitive. But I'm curious to know, how did you get the job? Because you said it kind of came about.
Yeah. So the job that I had previously, it was a bad situation. When I say bad situation, it was, Lachyi, you might go to jail situation. Let's get up out of here. You might go to jail, and I ain't built for jail. So we need to go ahead and figure that out. So I had applied. It was a lady. She was a screener. So she has a company where she screens for employment. And so I applied to the position she had. Don't know her. And she brought me in, and we had the interview, and she was like, I'm going to be honest with you. She was like, it's a lot of people that have applied to this position because it was paying very nicely, great benefits and all of that. And she was like, I've had people in here that have quote unquote better credentials than you, but I really like you. And I was like, okay. And she was like, so I'm going to send you to the interview. And when this interview process, when I say it went on for months, it went on for months. I had several panel interviews. I have several single one-to-one interviews. I had an interview with the CEO. I had an interview with almost everybody, the whole staff at that point. And it went on for about 2 or 3 months. And I remember going back and forth with her, and it got down to me and one other girl. And she was very honest with me. She was like, Lachyi, it's between you and one other person. I was like, okay. She was like, they're going away for vacation because it was around Christmas time, but I'll have an answer for you. And I remember my friend, we were talking about it, because she was kind of like in there with me too. She was like, Lachyi, you going to these interviews, you doing this. Like I had did like so much. Yeah. And so they were like, okay. She called me. I remember I walked out. She called me and she was like, Lachyi, they chose to go with the other person. I was like, okay. And I was like, it's going to be what it's going to be. And I remember God literally speaking to my spirit and was like, do you trust me? I was like, say no more. I was like, okay. I went back, literally, peace came over me. I sat down. My friend was like literally looking at me like, you ain't going to say nothing. You're not going to say nothing. So I was like, I didn't get it. She was like, oh my gosh, Lachyi. And I was like, it is what it is. And literally about 2 to 3 months later, she called me and she was like, Lachyi, they want you to come back. They have created a position. Someone left and they created a position and they want you to come in to interview for it. And when I got there, he was like, we would like to have you come in to do a 2-day working interview. I said, okay. I said, okay, we're going to pay you. Just take off a couple of days and come in. I said, okay, no problem. So I came in, worked the first day. Everything was good. Second day, came in, worked. At the end of it, he was like, how much are you asking for? Literally. They asked me, how much am I asking for? I gave them a number. He walked outside. He was like, we can do it. Nice. And that was it. I couldn't believe it. So not only did God created a space for me, I was able to tell them how much I felt that I was worth at that time. And I couldn't believe it. I really could not believe it. And it was just a testament of like, when God wants you to have something, regardless of anything, you're going to get it. And that was my testimony of like, God literally will create, open, move, do whatever he got to do for you if that's really is meant for you.
Hold please. I'll be right back after these dope messages. Say cheese. We all know that is the universal signal for let's remember this moment together by tilting our heads to the side and showing off all of our teeth and smiling, right? But have you started tilting your head to the side and avoiding showing off your pearly whites? Maybe you've noticed that the tooth in the front is being super antisocial with your other teeth. So rude. That is completely normal, but it doesn't have to be your case. Back in January 2021, I realized the shifting of my teeth was getting increasingly worse, and I found myself occasionally slurring my words and at times avoiding certain words altogether. Y'all, I was speaking more. I was going live on Instagram more, but I felt like my teeth were holding me back from sharing those gems. I was speaking. Thankfully, my sister told me how cool the peeps at Bates Orthodontics were and how close they were to my house. Listen, you can give me good people who love their job and the people they serve, and I'm in there. I gave them a ring, scheduled my consult, and the rest is straight teeth history. Bates Orthodontics has multiple locations in the Richmond area, and my favorite go-to is their new location in Chesterfield, where Dr. G is providing top-notch care with a side of humor that brings comfort to any newbie interested in being straight teeth peep. I love Bates Orthodontics because they invite me to ask all of my stuck questions. Y'all know I love questions, but they do so without making me feel like I'm a bother to them. They are there to help bring your smile back to life with Invisalign. Invisalign treatment is the clear alternative to metal braces, which I also had decades ago, but I didn't wear my retainer, but that's another story. Invisalign are for kids, teens, and adults. Call Bates Orthodontics today at 804-258-4268. Again, call Bates Orthodontics at 804-258-4268. Or you can visit them at batesbraces.com. BATESBRACES.com. batesbraces.com and schedule your free consult by clicking the bright green button at the top and following 3 easy steps to reserve your appointment today. Bates Orthodontics, where we're bringing smiles to life. And no worries if you're not local to Richmond, Virginia. Just visit Invisalign.com and enter your zip code to find the right Invisalign provider for you in your area. Be sure to tell the dope folks at Bates Orthodontics Crystal Simmons sent you from the UnStuck Yourself with Crystal Simmons podcast. And shout out to you for being patient and trusting.
That was hard. It was, because I could have in that moment been so devastated about all the time I spent going through this process and being like, when she called me, like, I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to do anything, because I was so hurt by hearing the no and not knowing that on that other side of that call was still my yes. And it worked out perfectly, because the position that I was going to do, I really didn't want to do it. I had so many things tied to me, because it would mean traveling, and that's what I was looking at. It was traveling and all these things, but that position wouldn't have fit my lifestyle that I had at the time. And so the position that was created for me was everything that I needed.
That is so powerful. Because I was going through the interview process, but I ended up landing a part-time job, and it was longer than I'm used to. I did 3 interviews. I'm like, goodness gracious. But you mentioning you applied for this job, and then upon recognizing, you still wanted it because you applied for it, but God was like, that's not even for you.
Yeah.
So no. And the fact that you mentioned that part of getting the no and not being resentful and holding on to it, and all the time you spent that was quote unquote wasted, how much did you gain through all of those interviews? What were the takeaways that you gained from those interviews?
It was that, one, I'm just as good as anybody else. And it gave me tenacity to really go to the end, because if I would have allowed that to stop me, then there are harder things that you face in being in business for yourself or doing things outside of that I would allow crumble me. And it really showed me that I belong in the room, regardless of what I look like or who I am or my background. I still belong in the room, and I can get into that room. And I remember one time sitting in a meeting, and they were talking, and we were just having a regular morning meeting, and they was talking about how sometimes people can stay on your mind and you never know what's going to happen. And I remember the COO pointed to me. He was like, remember, you stayed on our mind, and we made sure. And it really showed me how even in your nose, God will still be working behind the scenes and still doing stuff. And you think, oh, okay, this is the end of it. I'm just done. But he still is working. Because I could have very well have went on and found something else, or went and been like, oh, they don't care. And that, to see that, like, no, we still thought about you. We still was trying to figure out how we was going to make this happen.
I thank you for that story, because my whole body is getting chills, because not only did he work to get you there, but he also spoke through the COO, right? You said? Mm-hmm. For him to point you out and be like, remember? Because we remembered and thought about you, mm-hmm. where you trusting in God, but you had no idea they were thinking about you and like trying to, like, I cannot get her out of my head. We don't even know the conversations people are having about us, but yet we'll make shit up for the negative side.
I had to unlearn is that even in that, like, you cannot do that, because you don't, like you said, you do not know what is going on. You don't know the things he's putting in motion. You don't know how he's keeping you on the hearts of those that are in high places. You don't know those things. And so you have to step out of that. And we're so taught, oh, they didn't like me, so I don't gotta like them. No, you cannot do that. Sometimes you have to just be like, okay, not right now.
Yep.
Not in this moment.
And you don't... Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, the thing that just popped in my head was, if you're making up a whole story about them not liking, why don't you make up a story that's beneficial for you?
Yeah.
Like, oh, they love me so much, or I know so much. Maybe not even, I don't like when people say I intimidate them. I don't like that either, because that's not connecting us together.
Yeah, no.
But maybe I am what they were exactly looking for, and now they're nervous because they want to make sure they have everything right. So then when I step in, I'm not coming into chaos. Maybe they need to organize their stuff a little bit, because they see what I'm worth. They see what I am not going to tolerate. They're like, oh no, we got to get our stuff together. Case in point, makes me think of a story. When I got hired at my last corporate job at the hospital, my manager, who was my supervisor, she was my manager, she was a mentor to me. So I would always go to her office before I even got that position. Mm-hmm. And her office was a mess. She had papers everywhere. Every time I was like, how do you do this? Because like, she'd be like, oh, just pick that up or just move that. I'm like, how do you know where everything is? When I got hired, she was like, yeah, so I clean up everything for you, because I know you don't. I was like, oh shit. Yeah. Like, you don't have to always tell people they know, but if you don't have it for yourself and have that feeling like, I don't tolerate this, I am worth this much, I only accept positivity, support, people will be like, oh no, we got to get our stuff together. So why not make up the story of, they got to get some stuff together in order to allow me to come in. Yeah.
And two, also, you can put it on them, but also look at it as, God, you're creating something, you're doing something, you're teaching me something. And that's how I have structured things now. And like you said, not make up negative. When a client doesn't want to book with me, or someone doesn't want to do something with me, I've learned to stop making it negative. What are you teaching me in this moment? What are you showing me in this moment? What can I gain from this moment? Because going through that process taught me, which he's constantly teaching me, patience. Patience. It was patience. That was another thing I learned, patience. Because anything that is great takes time. Anything that's great takes time. And we're in a society, even though it wasn't this kind of times, we're in a society that we have to have instant gratification. We have to have everything so quickly, but some things that are worth it and will teach you more than, and give you more than money, takes time. And the money was good, but I learned so much more about myself at that position. I learned so much more about, when you get in certain rooms, how to handle yourself without losing yourself, without losing your own opinion, or losing your own culture, or losing these things. I was still me, but they helped me to refine certain things in me. And going through that process taught me, like, hey, Lachyi, it's okay. Some things may take a little time, but when you get there and God rewards you or gets you into that space, it opens up so much more. Because if I would have not answered that call, I may not have been where I am today.
Yes. And I want to get into more of what you're doing now, but I want to ask, do you recall a time when you're working in that position? Because just like you said, you learn how to handle yourself or carry yourself in those spaces. Is there a time that kind of stood out to you? Like, oh, I didn't do this before. Now I do this.
I would say it's not a particular time. It was just an overall experience, the culture that I saw there. It was different than what I have seen in the healthcare field or just in my community. It was a lot different. It was a lot of how they interacted with each other. It was how they allowed us to grow within the company. Like, I've never been in a company where they literally pay you to read and present on a book. Like, never. I had never seen that type of culture before.
Tell me more.
Like, we would literally, every year they would say, hey, we will allow you to use your company card to buy either an ebook or a book or any type of material. You will take the time to read it, create a presentation for us, and you'll get a gift card. I was like, where do they do that? Or if I'm doing something and I see something is not working right, or I need a system to help me be more efficient, and I go to them and I give them a valid reason, okay, use your card to do it.
Wow.
Use our resources to make your job easier so that you can now service our people easier. Doing that, it really helped me to show me like, hey, this is different than what I've seen. Like, I've been in retail and I've been in the healthcare where they like, no, budget.
Yes.
No.
Do more with less.
Yes.
Can you do a little bit more with a little bit more less?
And we don't cut you. We don't cut your budget. Yeah. But we still want you to function and we want you to do these things. And so to be in that really showed me a different type of work environment, a different type of culture. That helped me to open my eyes to see that it's more to this. It's more to running a business. And I got to see how he ran his business. He had multiple businesses, but it was nothing for him to call me and say, hey, can you get this? Or I had access to him, or I can email him and I know I'll get a response, or, to see that up close, and they were still growing. So it was a twofold for me. I saw the culture that they built. I saw them building the business. I now look back and I'm able in my business to put certain things into place and those that I help. Yeah. So it was a lot that I got.
It's so beautiful, especially when you said it was a new company, but yet that culture, that perspective that you gain, and to see that it actually quote unquote works, meaning they're still able to allow their employees to flourish, but the company is flourishing. Mm-hmm. Whereas what we were talking about before, what we have seen, cut, like less. And then things start breaking down. It's not flourishing as much. And they assume we need to cut more. We need to cut more. And it's like, no, you're going backwards.
Very much so. It was very big to them to have happy employees, to have employees that, like one of my weekly things was getting snacks for the office. Like, who does that? Literally stocking up a refrigerator so we don't have to worry about going anywhere to get snacks.
So simple. It really is so simple.
It was that simple.
Simple.
And people think it's so hard. It was that simple. Your employees are happy.
Yes. Basic needs.
Going out, okay, you guys as an office can go out on a Friday and have lunch as a team.
Yep.
Quarterly team building activities outside of the office.
Because you're a family. It's like, what happens is it just popped in my head. What happens when families who don't live together get together for holidays? Sometimes it's good. Sometimes people are like, this is irritating. This family member, I cannot stand. But y'all haven't been together cultivating that relationship. It's the same at work.
And I think that's the thing that people forget. And that's something that, personally, I wanted to bring into my business is to build a family, because it works. When you listen to people and you honor what they're good at and allow them the space like, hey, this doesn't work, or this doesn't work for me. Yes. What can we do? And I feel like that's what people are starting to gravitate to now. Like, where can I go that allows me to be happy, that I'm happy to do what you asked me to do?
So tell everybody what you're doing now, because this is the good stuff.
It is. This is what I love. So what I do now, I'm a virtual assistant. So many people may know what a virtual assistant is. I know it's becoming more popular now with COVID and the pandemic and all of that. As a virtual assistant, I help businesses and business owners operate more efficiently. So that means I specialize in general admin. So anything on the back end of your business, I can help you with. Answering emails, calendar management, that's what I do. I am supporting business owners. Do what they love to do. Be in their business, consulting without having to worry about invoicing.
Yes.
Because that's the problem. Like, I'm starting to hear a lot of business owners to say, like, I don't mind talking to my clients, but I forget to invoice them. But that's a big problem.
Yeah.
How your business is going to run. How you going to run? So my job is to help take that weight off of them. So doing the things that they don't like to do, just anything, invoicing, like I said, calendar management, email management, doing little things like, hey, can you call this person to set up a meeting? Can you call and reschedule this? Because I don't have the time. Mm-hmm. So that's what I do. I just give people time back. That is literally my goal.
And I love that because I feel like my business is going to continue to grow and I'm very visual. So when you say you do the little things, I had so many questions go through my head, but the question I want to ask is, without telling too much information about who your client is, what is the most beneficial exchange for you in what you do with your other clients? Like, what do you look forward to doing?
Building. Building. I wouldn't call it an ideal client, but I would say the best client interaction is with someone that understands and is open to allow me to help them. And I say that because a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners get into business, but then they don't want to ask for help. Or when they get to that point and they need help, it's like pulling teeth. So when you get someone that understands that, hey, I'm at a place that I need help and is receptive to the help, it makes it so much easier for them and for me to work with them. I think that would be the best to say. I have my clients that are like, okay, Lachyi, I recognize that this is my business. I recognize that this is the industry I'm in, but I'm open to suggesting on how to make this better. Because clearly what I've been doing got me here, but now that I'm trying to grow, I need something else.
Yeah.
And so I think that is that's the best thing. Someone that's open and receptive to allowing me to come in and actually help them.
So as business owners who are hearing this and are resonating with you, aside from them just being open to receiving the help, and I have an idea of what they might need, but I want to ask you, what is the one thing that they have to have in order to connect with you? Like, what's that first step that they have to make sure they have?
Trust. Trust.
Yeah, that's
it's trust, because being a virtual assistant or having an assistant, they know so much, they go so deep. You have to trust that they're going to do what they're going to do, and trust to allow them to you have to trust to relinquish. That's the first thing. If you don't have trust, you don't relinquish, you don't open up, you don't give. And so you have to have trust to allow that person to come in and really, really support you. And once you have that one thing, everything else will flow. But if you I don't really trust you, I don't really want to give this to you, it becomes a struggle.
Yeah.
It's going to be a struggle relationship because you don't trust that person to come in. And I get it. It's your baby. And I tell people when I meet them, I understand. And I always say that I understand this is your baby. And by it being your baby, you're going to be protective of your baby. But I'm not here to hurt your baby. I'm here to help your baby. So what would you like me to do?
And I'm going to step in as a coach and say, I have found, because I found it for myself, when we're not able to trust others, it's because we don't trust ourselves. Mm-hmm. And some of y'all might be like, Chris, I trust myself. I do. There's a difference because life is going to happen. Mm-hmm. Things are going to change. Trusting yourself means that I have created this business that is my baby. Mm-hmm. I have given it all the nutrients. I have given it all the attention. I have given it all the love that one individual could give.
Yes.
And that is like you being the teacher for your child. That is like you being the provider for the child, the babysitter, the counselor, the
doctor,
the doctor, the bus driver. Like one individual can't do all of those things well. You just can't. No. And as humans, just like our business, it's growing, it's living. It's not just a thing. Mm-hmm. It requires resources from all different places, just like plants need the sun, they need the rain, they need the pollen. Like it can't just have just water and then I'm done. No,
Yeah.
like it needs multiple resources. So just like with your business, trust that you have created something substantial and it's a solid foundation, meaning you have things in line for Lachyi or any other virtual assistant that they can easily understand what the hell you've been creating. And
Yes.
it's not like a jumbled mess.
A whole different arena when you step into it. That is very, very true. And I will also piggyback to say, they don't have trust in themselves, and sometimes they don't have trust in what they built.
Ooh.
Because now you have another set of eyes. Because it's one thing to cover it up that I'm not doing this, or I say I'm doing this, but I'm really not doing this. But it's another thing to have somebody come in and really see. Because now they just don't see the polished, put together social media person. They see you in all your glory.
Woo! Lachyi just dropped the bomb.
They see you and how you act with your customers. They see all the good things and bad things you do in the back, what you say you do and you say you don't do. They see all of that. So a lot of times that's where the hesitation is, because now I have to be transparent and be real, that I can't fake the funk over here, because they see, because you do see, as an assistant, you do see these things. So when you say, oh, I don't do this, and then I'm somebody behind you being like, but I saw you. Now it's almost like, I don't trust this person to keep up the appearances that I have made. That's really not true.
Oh, that is the message. And this is not a bad thing. This is the reality. No. If that is true for you, breathe. Yeah. It's okay.
Somebody's here to help you.
Exactly. And we also have to get out of our heads of, you put it so beautifully that you will come in and be like, damn it, she gonna see that I haven't been really responding the way I wanted to. And, I got mad that day or whatever, but also recognizing Lachyi's in it with you.
Yes. And I think that's the hardest people for them to understand, is that they're not there to judge you. I have learned the art of seeing without seeing and hearing without hearing. And if you ever in the medical field, you know what I'm talking about. Yes. You see things, but you don't remember them. I literally I can see a document, see what I need to see, and literally you can ask me 2 seconds later and I can tell you nothing that's on the page. And I think that's the thing business owners have to understand. A true virtual assistant sees without seeing and hears without hearing. And they don't come in to judge you. They don't come in to berate you. They don't come in for these things. They're literally sent help. They're literally there for you to be the sounding board that you can't go to your husband or your wife or whomever, because they don't want to hear about your business no more. Yeah. But your virtual assistant is there to see when clients are crazy and can help you through. And then there's so much. I love my clients and I'm so much to them in certain ways and not, but it helps them to not be as stressed. Yes. Because if you're doing it all by yourself and you don't have nobody, your husband may not be in your business, so they don't understand why you're stressed out the way you're stressed out. So now you have somebody else that can understand why you feel the way that you feel and why you do the things that you do. Now they can help you be better. Yeah. And that's something business owners have to really understand. That's what virtual assistants are. They may come in and help you with admin, but they are there for a lot of different things. And you just got to be open. Yeah. Because sometimes your very next key to the next level is help. Yes. It's help.
And people will say they want to scale their business or they want it to grow, but they want to do it by themselves. And I have found in asking for help, it comes in so many different ways. I was like, dang, I wasn't even thinking about that. That's so cool. That's so cool. And I want those who are listening, who are resonating with everything you're saying, Lachyi, what are some of the things that you do day to day? Just run them down just so they can kind of get a visualization oh, I actually do that. And I really don't like doing that. I wish maybe she can come and do it.
So yeah, I can do anything. I have scheduled doctor's appointments. I have rescheduled meetings. You woke up late and you ain't gonna make this meeting. Invoicing, zeroing out emails, going through and unsubscribing to emails. I help install things you need this program installed, but you can't call this person because you need to go to your daughter's soccer game. That's where I step in. I will say I do help my local clients a little bit more. I have babysit dogs. I've done.
I remember everything. You posted that on Instagram. I was like, oh,
yes. So I have babysitted one of my clients' dogs. I help with anything from QuickBooks, so bookkeeping, organizing and categorizing, your transactions throughout the month. So anything literally that you can think of that you like, I just cannot do this today, I have done. Schedule college tours, set on hold to reschedule something to come to somebody's house. It's little things that people don't think about that add up, because at the end of the day, as an entrepreneur, you have a business life and you still have a personal life.
Yeah.
You
That's
have
good.
both, and you're trying to balance. And that's why a lot of business owners are, unbalanced, are burnt out, because they forget you still got a regular life to manage.
Yeah.
I've taken my clients' kids to do videos. It's just everything.
I love it. And before we wrap up, how does it look to work with you in terms of packaging? You don't have to say the prices, because I know this will be around for a while and your prices will increase. So
Yes.
People who come late, they're like, wait a minute. It's like, no, she blew up. Like she glowed up. Like yeah. So what does the packaging kind of look like without that?
So I do have set packaging. If you visit my website, www.brandnewconsultants.com, I do have packages on there. So they start at 20 hours, so 20, 30, and 50. But because I know I work with serial entrepreneurs or solopreneurs, I can do it on an hourly basis. So you have the option of picking a package that works with you. And I do tailored packages for my clients, because my audience are those that are growing and scaling. We can kind of sit down and do a discovery call and talk about what works for you. But if you're saying, hey, I know I can allot for 30 hours, it's a package on there for you.
Is that 30 hours for the month?
Gotcha.
Yes. Okay.
So all of my packages are by the month. So that's kind of how in the virtual assistant community, everybody kind of does. And I want to give that tidbit. A lot of them will do by the hour, but a lot of them do packaging per month. So you're allotted 30 hours per month. You can use it however you choose to use it. And then you kind of talk with your VA or I about what you want to do within that and tasks you want to do within that 30 hours.
That's cool. This has been so fun. You've given me a lot to think about, because I have listened to a lot of people through podcasting and them talk about their business and how they start growing it and how they've been really nervous to get a VA. And in my mind, all that they're doing, I'm like, how are they doing all that by themselves? I don't want to get to a point where my business can take off, but it's just me. And now I'm like, oh, who do I trust? Who do I like? That brain power is not helping to create anything. So I'm thankful that we got to connect, because you're planting the seeds and you're allowing me to visualize what it looks like, which is a plus for me. And I thank God for bringing you into my life to have this, because now I'm like, yeah, I can see this. So my suggestion, but Lachyi, you share yours, would be to test the waters. Like if you find a VA and it feels a little off, not because they're bad or whatever, just like y'all don't mesh well, just try another one and do the discovery call, like you said, right?
Yeah, I would definitely say test the waters. I will also say, as my tidbit, a couple of things for entrepreneurs. One, as you're growing, think about somebody working beside you. And then as you get these tasks, be like, okay, I can give this to that person. So when that person comes on board, you already know what you want them to do. And a lot of people don't think about that, because they think about doing it themselves instead of thinking, I'm going in this single, but I'm at some point have to bring somebody on. So if you start with the mindset of like, hey, these are the tasks, but I can offload this, and make it so when you offload it, it doesn't even affect you. That's how it's the easiest way to allow somebody in, because you're so used to hoarding everything.
Yes.
And then two, if you are in the business of, okay, now I'm at a place that I want a VA, it's so many different communities that you can look at. And I personally just started with a friend group, but they're two friends, and they wanted a VA. They put out an ad, and they actually did kind of like a little test to see if the person will work. So out of 200 applicants, I made it to the top 25 for them to view. And then they picked 6, and out of the 6, then they selected me as their VA. And so you can do like a simple, like, I want you to answer these questions on how you will handle this. Ooh. And that helps you to figure out if this person will align with you. And that way you'll know before going in. It's always going to be application if they actually meet it, because everybody going to put their best foot forward. Let me tell you that they are. Yeah. But that's a quick way to kind of weed out. And then, like you said, trial and error. You can hire somebody and say, this is a probational for 30 days and see how it works. No harm, no foul. Just let it be known up front. So yeah, those are my tips on how to prepare yourself for a VA and then how to pick a VA that works for you.
Yes. And in people hearing you speak, liking what you're saying, allowing them to breathe easier, how can people reach out to you if they're like, yes, I've been looking for a VA. This makes all the sense. I can see the vision. How do I reach out to her?
So you can follow me on almost all social media platforms at Brand New Consultants, or you can visit my website, www.brandnewconsultants.com. If you would like to email me directly and we can have a conversation, it's Lachyi, spelled Lachyi at brandnewconsultants.com. And if you have any type of questions, personal questions, or like how I get started, because that is something that I'm passionate about, is helping others to get into the space or figure out what this space looks like for them, you can email me as well. Or personally, if you want to just kind of pick my brain, you can hit me up on Instagram at naturallydope_LB.
And I'll have all of those links in the show notes so that people could just click and go right to it. But this has been amazing. I'm excited because I see big things, because as a business owner and doing every single thing to the point where you don't even know, like, oh, I'm a designer now. And now I'm actually a writer, I'm a producer, I'm doing like all of these things that was not.
Website designer, all these things. Like, this is not what I got into business for.
This was so valuable. And I know because of the listeners that I have, they are in corporate, and a lot of them are business owners. So they might be transitioning. So even if you do have a corporate job and life is getting crazy, you can still have an assistant. Like, this is not just for business owners. It is releasing the weight and the responsibilities.
Yes, that's what I was about to say, responsibility. I have one client. I'm not even in his business. I handle all personal stuff for him. So he can travel, so he can be with his children. I only handle personal stuff. So it doesn't necessarily have to be all in your business. Some people just like, hey, can you pay my bills for me so I don't have to worry about it?
Oh, wow.
I literally and I think that's the misconception about this, is that it has to be typing up a memorandum. It has to be typing up this presentation. No, I literally call in and pay bills for clients.
Nice.
So they don't have to remember. So it's so many things. Yeah. It's so many things that a VA can help you with. It's not just about your business. It's about helping your life. Literally helping your life.
This is good. And now my brain is going. It's really excited. Yes. I'm eager for people to actually reach out to you and me to learn more about you as well. Is there anything else you want to leave the listeners with? Just take the first step. That's just it. Just take the first step. Thank you, Lachyi. I can't wait for everybody to get to know you, and we'll keep in touch. But this is so much fun. Yes, thank you. And now, Unstuck Affirmations. Yeah.
I stay unstuck by connecting with God, the one who created me to be in the place and space I am in. I am unstuck from imposter syndrome by reminding myself that I was created for this. I continue to unstuck myself from fear by trusting that God is in control and He has never failed me and never will.
Now, peeps, was I right or was I right? Lachyi was such a pleasure to speak with. She shares so many dope insights, tips, gems, and I ask that you take this time to connect with Lachyi now. You can find her at Brand New Consultants on Instagram and all the other social media platforms, or you can check out her website again. That's www.brand-new consultants.com. Brand New Consultants. These are the unstuck questions and gems Lachyi dropped throughout this episode. Number 1, Early in our conversation, Lachyi dropped a huge gem. Many individuals who venture into their own practice don't succeed because they're unfamiliar with the back end process. And that gem, we all can use, whether you're building a business, starting your career, or thinking of making a career change. Know your finances, because like she says so perfectly, we are not about to lose this money as we're building. Number 2, people may encourage you to pursue that lifestyle or dream, but often they leave out the behind the scenes information in that process that helps you keep that lifestyle or dream. Number 3, the question Lachyi asks herself is, what makes me happy? How can I do more of that and less of what doesn't make me happy? Number 4, when God wants you to have something, you will get it. Number 5, sometimes that no you receive is hurtful, but on the other side of that no holds your yes. Number 6, if you allow events in your life to stop you now in your journey, then when harder things surface in life, you are at risk of allowing these things to crumble you in the future. Be tenacious, peeps. Number 7, you belong in the room, regardless of what you look like, who you are, or your background. You are still belonging in that damn room. Number 8, when things are not going as expected, instead of looking at it in a negative light, why not ask, what is this moment teaching me? Number 9, do you have complete trust in yourself to allow another human to come and be of service to you in your business? Do you have trust in what you have built? And number 10, sometimes the key to your next level is help. Peeps, it has been a pleasure. I hope you have grabbed so many things that you are going to share with people you love and care about. Hit share this episode. And I thank y'all for listening. I thank y'all for sharing. I thank y'all for contributing to being a monthly supporter. That energy exchange is dope. And as always, sending you love and light through this mic as you write these unstuck questions and gems to turn your actions into wins. Until then, peeps, stay unstuck. Oh no, I should have kept this. And I think I'm going to name the podcast title that, or the episode title that. I'll clean it up. But Lachyi, this has been amazing. It's so valuable.
And don't just jump. Just like you jumped into your business, jump into it. Like, be a little bit more cautious because there's somebody there. Yeah. But just take the first step. Because the help is, like, if you need the help, just ask for it. Ask.
And that's when it actually comes. You have to say it. You have to every little step I take, you will be there. It will come.
It will come. And as time goes on, you'll learn each other. You'll learn how to better work together, and it'll become your family. I literally love my clients. I'm about to go on vacation and all my clients girl, do it. Yes. Have fun. But I built that relationship. They know that I work hard and I work hard for them. So, yeah.
I love it.